Hello guys, can you hear me? Hello, hello, can you hear me guys? If you can hear me, please kindly confirm in the chat section. And welcome to the Woke Africa Show family. My name is Ejewa. Okay, so that's my daughter singing Woke Africa Show. Okay, thank you, Kylie. So welcome to the Woke Africa Show. This is your host, Ejewa. And today, Kylie, okay. Kylie, can you go? Please, it's not for children. Can you go and play, please? Thank you. So, welcome to the Woke Africa Show, as I was saying. And today, my face looks like smiley because I'm coming to you. So it's always exciting for me to come here and talk to you. But there is really something going on that is, I don't know, so outrageous. I don't even know how to express myself. And I'm going to leave whatever is happening to your judgment so that you can also, chip in. I'd like to welcome my guests from the Woke Africa Show, the Woke panelists on WhatsApp, our WhatsApp group, the Woke Africa Trade and Investment Platform on Telegram. And to welcome all my subscribers, I'd like to thank my Patreons for being so supportive. Please consider becoming a Patreon. You can check our information in the description box. So what is going on? That has the whole country like riled up. Okay, so this is about hello, welcome, Miss Blue Love, welcome, and I see you. Long time, I haven't seen you in a while, and I'm so happy to have you back on the show. So there is a buzz in the country at the moment, and people are split over what is happening. And just give me a moment. Okay. So there's a buzz going on in the country, and people, everyone is just, talking their mind about it. Now, what is going on? Two male students applied to, they attended junior high school, primary school, junior high school, came out with flying colors. One of them had aggregate 6, which is like the, grade A students. Another one had aggregate 10, right? Aggregate 10. And that is also like excellent work done. So they, how do you call it? They applied for senior high school. And what happens is we have the Ghana Education Service, and they have a system where they place students in several schools in Ghana. So these young men applied, and because of their great results from junior high, they were accepted into one of the most prestigious colleges in Ghana, okay, and that is Achimota School. And okay, welcome, Brother Talib. Welcome to the show. It is always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you because you're such a well of knowledge and you teach us with wisdom. And so I do appreciate our wise ones, and therefore I always do appreciate it and happy to see you join the show because honestly, truthfully, we can learn a thing or two from you. regarding everything else that is happening. So welcome, Brother Tadid. For those who don't know Brother Tadid, he's one of the most committed Pan-Africans that I know in my time. And so, it's always a pleasure for me to have him on our show. Now, as I was explaining, so these two young men from two different families, brilliant, intelligent, because they scored like, one scored about aggregate 6, which is like, I don't know the equivalent in the US, but if you score aggregate 6, it's like you're a straight A student. The other one scored aggregate 10, meaning that he might have just faltered behind in about just one grade. And that is even like maybe a B or something. So these two students are refused admission to senior high school after they have applied, and Ghana education system has placed them into one of the so-called prestigious schools in the country. So they go to school, their parents invest and buy their the requirements to go to school. They get to the school, gain admission, and when they went home to prepare to come back to school, the school administration now calls them and say, we cannot admit you. Why can't you admit our children? Because we don't accept dreadlocks in this school. Let's just allow that to sink in for a minute, because when I heard it, I was like, what? And I don't know, it's because I think this way. I think it's because I'm starting to understand myself as a Black person. So I find some of these things outrageous, but I don't know about you. Now I'm going to give you a little background to this school so that we can be well informed when we decide to make our comments. So the name of this school is Achimota Senior High School, okay, and is located in an area called Achimota in the city of Accra. This school was founded in 1924 and officially or formally opened in 1927 by the then governor, Sir Frederick Gordon Guggesberg. The name of the school was formerly Prince of Wales College. Guys, this is the background to the school. And then later, after the supposed independence, changed to Achimota Achimota Senior High School. Well, Achimota Senior Secondary School first, then Achimota Senior High School subsequently. Now, the school says they have a hair policy, and I hope I'm going to, I've invited some local Ghanaians in the education sector to maybe help me understand this, because I don't understand why in Africa, okay, it's only on the continent of Africa, that female students have to be degraded to the extent that you have to cut your hair. I'm cutting my hair because I want to. I cut my hair because it was symbolic for me. But it's only on the continent of Africa that female students are forced to cut down their hair. Hair is a symbol of beauty for every woman. It's only on the continent of Africa that we're forced to cut down our hair just so that we can study. Does that make sense? I mean, so they have a hair policy that every student in the school must have short and natural hair. Okay, they said that's according to what they're saying. Because now when the outrage came, they now are going back and falling on their policy. Now, let's look at this policy and who it applies to. According to the school, this policy applies to everybody. Everybody is expected to cut their hair when they enroll in the school, you know. But then, with the exception of the white students, Lebanese students, Indian students, any student that doesn't look black is not implicated by this law. They admit white students and allow them to keep their long hairs. But black students in Ghana, in Africa, black students in Africa are forced to cut down their hair. Most of them have long, beautiful, luscious hair from the junior high school, and they're forced to cut their hair before they can receive any kind of high school education, unless, of course, you have money to go to private secondary school. Now, my question is, before the arrival of the slave ships on our shores, how were we keeping our hair? Now, this policy that runs through Africa is a policy that has been nurtured from a legacy of colonialism. A legacy of colonialism. And our children are suffering in the same system, while white students, Lebanese, any other skin that is not white, is not bearing the same consequences for keeping long hair. But our children are not allowed to keep their hair long or even locked, you know, to go to school. They're denied education, denied a fundamental human right to be educated. And you know what? This kind of law, this kind of policy is against the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. So you know what? I don't get it. But again, it feels like it is one of the, you know, the outcomes. I feel like this is mental slavery at its best, because a colonial law that has been put in place to kind of reduce the black child, you know, remove their beauty, remove their confidence, and just keep them subjugated. This law has been nurtured, groomed, worn a beautiful dress of justification, and then propagated to the extent that our kids are being denied their constitutional rights to education. I'm sorry, my light is acting up. Constitutional right to education because they have their hair locked. Because they have their hair locked. But this does not apply to white students, foreign students of any category. It applies to all African children, though. Now, their argument is that it will help the students study and focus on their studies. Now, I'm just going to ask, with all the private schools in the country, with all the British curriculum schools in Ghana, why are they the best students in the country and they still have their hairs? Children can go to school with their hair locked or not. Their parents have to pay huge sums of amounts for their children to go to these British curriculum schools, and they get to keep their hair. But if a Ghanaian student wants to go to school and their parents don't have the money to enroll them in these British curriculum schools or these private, expensive private schools, then they, according to Achimota School and most of the government schools in the country, these kids are not entitled to education because they have to cut down their hair. Now, according to the parents of these children, according to the parents, and you know, the parent that is fighting this is called I think Tyrone or something like that, and his son is called Tyrone, yeah. I hope I'm getting that right. So Tyrone is being denied education because he's a black kid and he has locks. And this is, I don't know, I feel outraged, but these are some of the colonial institutions that colonial policies that do not help us, that does not benefit us in any way, but we keep them religiously, because if they let go of Master's law, then what else have they got? What else have they got? How does hair determine the intelligence or concentration of a child on his or her education? There is teenage pregnancies rampant in our institutions, in our schools, and these children are not braiding their hair anyways. Instead of developing the confidence of children to understand the importance of focusing on their education, some of these patriarchal institutions think that by
Wondering if you lost your signal there, Sister Ajiwa. I'm not sure if you're still on the air, but it appears as if I am here alone, just like that movie. And if that's the case, my camera is indicating to me that I'm on air, and my mic is open, and you have lost your signal. So I may just pick up and just continue, hoping that things will go flow, and later on you. Yes, I am. This situation have reminded me of what it is when people have given their institution, when it was framed, when it was planned, and when it was developed with someone else in mind. The school system as it was developed and left as a legacy for Ghana, or that particular school, I should say, was not framed and developed and the policy was not developed by those who are currently or the recipient of the education there. It was developed by the colonial master, and they have inherited a system that need to be rethink, revamped, revised, and be retooled to suit the student and the citizens of Ghana currently. We should help the Ghanaian student as well as the administrators. If they themselves have not seen fit to do it on themselves, I think this is not only for every challenge, it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity from what I have learned so far, that it is an opportunity for those who may come and attending the school from the diaspora, who are accustomed to a certain rights and privilege with regarding to their attire and the way they attend schools. And it might be different from Ghana. So this, I would say, this is an opportunity for the parents to get involved and to work with the administration to formulate new policies that will reflect not only the people, the culture, but also the new paradigm and the thinking of what is expected of a student. This is an opportunity for parents to get involved. Don't leave it up to the educators alone. Remember, they have inherited a system that was put in place when they were a conquered people, and they have not made the necessary changes yet. Look at it as if you had bought a home or a car, and the previous owner, they were 6 foot tall, and you now is 4'5". They had the seats and they had the windows. They probably made some changes that was suitable for them. When the old operator had it, that they had those things in place that was suitable for them. They had the rear view mirror, and they have other amenities adjusted to their liking and to their suit. And you, the new owner now, you should adjust it immediately when you go in. When you bought the car and you took possession of it, you should go in with a plan to make all the necessary adjustments to suit your needs and your requirements, your children's needs and your children's requirements. And if those things were not done from the beginning when the Ghanaians had authority over their school, then they should be at least start working with parents, government, to revive the policies and procedures and the expectations. And all of that should be communicated to the parents beforehand. The first time when they make application or when they express a desire to learn what the school policies and what is required for the student to come to that institution and learn. So I look at it as an opportunity, as well as it could be construed as a disappointment for the child or the children and the parents. It's an opportunity for you to put a stamp or to make an imprint to assist the administrators and the teachers so that they will begin to learn. And the forging of the partnerships and the relationships between the diaspora and the continent of Africa, the people of the continent of Africa, meaning particularly Ghana in this case, but the entire continent. I would imagine they would probably need some of those new changes as well.
Hello, family.
I look forward to that.
Oh, Brother Salim, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, sister.
Thank you. Please. So I'm not going to stop you. Please carry on. Please carry on.
Yes. So I was about to say that the opportunity that would present itself is not only limited to the schools, but as we have developed here through trial and errors and demand as well, that those institutions in which we are cultivating the young minds, we would like for them to have a sense of pride in the way they are handled, in the way they are seen, and also in the way the administration see them. So when they go, they can have some policies and procedures that will help them to bring out the best in them, not to insult and not to ridicule them for those things that are natural and organic to African people. Their hair, you know, their melanin, those things are organic. Those are natural to our people. And some institutions have a tendency, including military, including those people who are serving their country, who try to be patriotic. But those institutions, those policies and procedures and whatever else was set up by the colonial masters. And they set it up looking at us as a rejected people. Now that we have control and we have some degree of autonomy in running those institutions, then we should revise those and all of them, everything, with public input. And when we view them, we should view it in a comprehensive way to see what is the total needs of the country and its citizens, not only to one particular group, but as we know, Ghana is made up of indigenous people of different faith and backgrounds, and they have different beliefs as well. So the system that served the citizen should also reflect that. So yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brother Talib, for
Yes,
holding the fort,
yes.
and your well of information that enlightens us all the time. Now, I'm going to put this on the screen because it's one of the reasons why this issue has become an issue in the country. Okay. And African Millennial says that we are told, we were told they do this because our hair is too hard to take care of. That is true in the most sense, because you know most people think that it's difficult to care for the African hair, but the point is, on from the onset, we have been introduced to relaxing creams, chemicals, and things, all in the efforts to straighten our hair out. So for centuries, for a long time, African women, some African women are right now just starting to even understand black hair and how to care for our natural black hair. And I have been my most feminine self since I cut down my relaxed hair and went straight to my natural hair. And I didn't even know I had gorgeous, curly, beautiful black hair. So our parents have been told that our hair is too difficult to deal with, and therefore, what time will a student have to put their hair in shape if the hair is growing? So cut it down, and that, because of that notion that it's difficult to take care of the black hair, there is no other solution other than cut it down. And I'm sorry, sir. Do you have any comments on this?
You see, I am reminded, this situation brings me, and I'm reminded of the former Dr. Sabi.
Yeah.
When he was challenged by the institution and the society that be, when he provided alternative healthcare, organic living to our people as an alternative to address many of our ills. The key question that he was that he impressed me with is when he was taken to the courts by the federal as well as the state of New York. He asked the judge if he could pose 3 questions, and he was given approval to state them, to ask the prosecutor. The first, he asked them, when the Africans was taken from Africa and brought to America, did you took his diet and his food with him? And the prosecutor say, obviously not, no. He said, well, when a gorilla who lives in the jungle, what is his diet? Does he eat the same food as a polar bear who live in the north? And they say, obviously not. Then they say, does the polar bear eat the food that the lion eat in Africa, in the jungle? And he said, no, obviously not. Then Dr. Sebi said, that is the cause of the problem why the Africans' diet is different from the European and should be different from the European diet. What would happen if you took the polar bear and put him in Africa and exchange it for the gorilla who lives in the jungles and eat vegetation? And yet he is one of the strongest animals. You took the polar bear and you put him in Africa, where he's away from the seals and the fat and all those things that makes up his diet. You would have changed them, and that would have an adverse effect on them. So when we look at members of the diaspora going back to the continent, it is an inspiring and a very welcoming thing for us. But when we go there, we should also be reminded that we go into a new environment and we should take some knowledge, and then we realize it would be a new requirements. New requirements.
Yeah.
Because we have gotten accustomed to this environment that have changed us, our perspective, our looks. So we must begin to adjust, and we begin to take knowledge with us so that we begin to offer input for the betterment, for the improvement of mutual benefits.
Okay, so guys, welcome to the Woke Africa Show. Please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please kindly hit the subscription button. And at this point, I'd like to welcome Yao to the show. Yao,
Yeah.
welcome, 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 and I'm glad to have this family here, and it's such a pleasure. Yeah, you are. Yao is a Ghanaian, brother Talib. He's a Ghanaian. He's with me in the sun-bathed, Gold Coast, and he is also has something to say. And I'd love to hear from someone who is on the continent. Yeah, what is your take on this?
My take on this, I've been angry when I saw all this going on around. I can't think, how do you have to, neglect our own people and accept somebody whom we knew nothing about? And first of all, this headmistress, this mistress is wearing a Peruvian hair. That's the most that I hate very much. Why does it have to be in this way? Our own, those in the diaspora, some are being, being killed, like land, a whole lot. But those living with us, is this how you are going to treat them? We are not going to sit down to tolerate all these things to go on. I remember way back in high school, was a teacher who was like, "Hey, I'm going to shave." I was like, "Listen, if you dare try to do any bullshit thing like that, maybe I'ma fight you off, and I'll dismissed from this school. Trust me." Why do you have to take my hair off? Once, when you go to other school, you see some people, with their hairs on. And you know something? What did this mistress and all these people want? They want money. Give them money. Oh,
I think he's having some technical challenge right there, and I hope
Yes,
he joins us again.
I
But
think
yeah,
it
please
is
go ahead.
obvious. It is obvious that the administrators who have inherited policies and other requirements, that they're still looking through the eyes of the Caucasian or the European conquerors and enslavers. But then we know that through their eyes, all the qualities of the Africans was inferior.
Yeah.
We know that. They have stated it quite clear. It reflects in the policy and what is required of the Africans in order to be accommodated in school. We also know that. And it is not only the educational institution, but others as well. We have seen where it requires of judges to wear costume that doesn't
Yeah.
befit them, buffoon them.
Mm-hmm.
And if those policies were made by the Africans for the Africans, it wouldn't require that he has to put on a blonde wig to go into the
No.
high school to reflect that.
No.
We know that. And we understand. But it takes some courage from leadership. It takes leadership courage. It also takes some visionary too. And those who are sensitive and has the sensitivity of the needs of their people that they serve. You don't have to wait until there's a pushback or there's a friction between your people in order to do change. If you're in a position of authority, then you should reflect that you're a visionary and you can go out, leader, go out, provide vision, provide knowledge and understanding to their people so their people can look at it, examine it, and say, yes, that is forward thinking. Don't wait on the people to push you to make the changes. Then that reflect that you're a leader and you're leading from behind. You're not sensitive to your people's need and you do not look at the future sufficiently enough for the people to have trust in you to lead institution because you do not address their need. And we living in a time now. This is a new day and time. It is not 5 years or 10 years in the past. We're living in a new day and time, 2021. And it's for those people and those people in the institution who does not reflect the interests or the best interests of the constituency that they serve, then they need to be examined themselves to see whether or not they're suitable for the positions that they have.
Thank
Yes,
you so
Master.
much. And I'd like to comment on this. The Ghana Education Service has directed the head teacher to admit the boy to become a student of the school finally. Yes, but the school has refused. They have refuted and rejected the directive from the Ghana Education Service and are saying that that is their policy and they are not going to accept the boy into the school. Kofi Labi says, interestingly, the old student body are in support of administration, and this is being spearheaded by a further vice chancellor of the premier university in Ghana's highest education body. Of course, they like the status quo. You know, they feel so special. They feel so special to be in Achimota school. They don't want any dirty rasta to come and mix themselves with their bougie high society bullshit nonsense. So of course those parents, they of course they don't want the rasta. And let me tell you something, if you come to Ghana and you experience some of these things, you might actually find it quite disappointing because people associate dreadlocks with violence, with drug abuse, with robbery, with all kinds of things. They look down on
Yes.
people with dread.
Yeah.
It's just like just like the colonizers, you know, just like how they view us. They left this painful, paternalistic kind of mean, rigid way of thinking of our people. And then when they left, our people still seek to please this people, and then they continue to exhibit this bougie Western lifestyle as though it is the ultimate. It's like the ultimatum. And I'm telling you, if this is done against the students, it is in our workplaces, it is in our schools, it's in our hospitals, it's everywhere. You have to fit a specific look. You have to, you know, live in a specific you even the way you talk,
Yes.
is something that, you know, has to sound, you know, and everybody loves the fact that Fantis speak good English. You know, everything you speak in good English, you are respected in this country.
With the accent of the enslaver. With the accent of the enslaver.
Yes, you wear your hair in a straight manner, you're respected. You know, just recently we've seen some kind of pushback in the hair situation because women used to relax their hair with all these chemicals that were killing us and giving us all kinds of diseases. And now the women have decided to go natural. A lot of women that I know have decided to go natural. And I think that, you know, the awakening will follow that because, excuse me to say, a day is coming when the true children of this land will take back what belongs to us. That day is coming. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it has arrived.
Yes, we see signs of it. There are signs of the indication that it has arrived, but it is the early morn of it now. It is not the midday of it yet.
It's just the dawn, early morning of it. Welcome back, Fiao. And please, you were cut off at a point, so if you can kindly continue.
Yeah, you know, it's been raining, and you know we are having, you know, blackouts. So you know, I'm using my power bank. So when I get off, maybe something about what I was trying to say is, it's headmistress. They are in bed with the white, you know, those they are allowed their kids to, you know, to come to the school. They are in bed with their parents. When it comes to, you know, they see a Rastafarian with the, you know, like, you know, coming to school with that, is either they pay them bribe or they dismiss them. That's what's going on. And you know, we are not going to tolerate all this.
Yeah, I would add allegedly to that. I would add allegedly for him with that claim. But I agree with you that it's a very disturbing situation. How do you allow a white student with long hair? If you're talking about your policy says the hair shouldn't be long, then I'm asking a question. Why is your white students with this long hair and black children with dread long hair? Why do we even call it dread?
They're is treating differently.
Yeah.
Yes. The question that begs for an answer is
shame on them. Shame on them. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
The question that begs for an answer is, does the policy is applicable to every student?
Do something. One thing is,
that's a question that begs for an answer.
Yeah, it begs for an answer for real. Does it apply to every student?
Obviously, if they're different students of different ear characteristics are treated differently, then you see that it is not the student, then it is the administration.
It is the administration.
Who are behind the times. Yes.
Yes.
And
it is the administration. It is the major donors. It is the major donors.
Yes.
Allegedly in the school association or parent teacher association that are coming. Some are even taken to the media to say that dreadlocks stink and
Yeah.
Ghana schools don't
Well,
have enough water. So
I
they're
think
concerned that the hair will not be kept clean enough. Crazy.
if then they might be misstating it. They might be misstating it. Then we have seen people uh, from any background who may, if I decide that I'm in a situation or circumstance that I'm not able to do proper hygiene for a week, I certainly will have an odor. That's a natural composition of the body.
Of course.
Soldiers who are in the field for a long period of time who cannot get the privilege of a bath, they have that, but they live with that. But what is required now is for them to set a proper hygiene standard. That student should have a certain cleansing or bathing per day, every day, and to set the standard. But if they're gonna say it is the cause of it is their hair, then therefore then I think approaching it the wrong way, or they're identifying it the wrong thing. They should,
Yeah.
yes, they would need counseling, because even if the child has a bald head, if they cut off the hair, that problem would still persist if their
It
hygiene is
will.
not up to standard. Yes,
It will.
so they
And I
need
would
to
like to
identify the
say,
right thing.
yeah, I'd like to say special props and my heart goes off to Kofi Labi, who is currently feeding us information as the program progresses. Thank you for being interested in this, Kofi. And I think that we have to be interested, because ask yourself this question: before the slave ships arrived at the shores of Ghana, of the Gold Coast, what kind of hair did we have? What kind of hair did we have? I'd also like to ask you a question. Why did you think Delilah needed to cut the hair of Samson? Samson was a dreadlocked man with strength. So when you read the Bible, let it guide you to understand that they tell those stories because you and I are Samson, and they needed to cut that hair to take away his power. They needed to cut him down. And they started off with his hair. So the point is, my problem is not the fact that there is such a degrading colonial policy in our educational institution, outmoded, degrading, paternalistic, entrenched policies in all of our senior high schools,
Yeah.
government senior high schools.
Yeah.
Why must these parents and these head of institutions think that nobody dares to change anything that doesn't work for? This is clearly, a lot of parents have to go according to this, because sometimes it feels like there's a little bit of gullibility in the system. Okay, because if I'm not saying this, it applies to every child. It applies to most children. And I can see people sitting on radio talking about, oh, well, that's how it has been. That's the policy of the school. That is the freaking colonial masters' direction left behind
Well,
to subjugate
yes,
you as
yes.
a black man, as a black woman. Anything that reduces you is being justified. And it's shameful for these institutions and these parents to be protecting this evil legacy. Evil legacy.
But
Colonialism was evil. The perpetrators were evil.
you stated something earlier when you said the parents, many of the parents currently are stating and supporting the policy as it is. Then it's obvious, quite obvious, that those parents were so well groomed into accepting the policy that the enslavers and the colonizers left for them, that they don't see fit anymore to change back to their ancestors' liking or what would be best suited for them. They're well molded, they're well groomed, and they accept the mold that was left for them.
Yeah.
Say.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yes, so they have not developed the freedom of thought to exercise their own will. They
Yeah.
exercise or they accept the mold or that jig that was set, that they were put into by force now, by force. But over the generations, they have come to accept it. That's what we're
Now,
looking.
now, now, let me read this from Kofi. He says, um, Professor Ernest Aite is the head of the Old Students Association, and ironically, a development consultant in economics. Well, development consultant. Since when have that word even meant anything for our countries? Development. Consultant in economics. He says the GES is imposing on them as a body. That is crazy. That is crazy. Imposing on you. Well, the laws of the state says you have no right to take away the fundamental human rights of these students, that they must gain access to education. You can't take that away from them because of their hair. And you allow white children to come to the same school with the same policy in place, and that's okay. But because they're black, it applies to them. Shame on you. Shame on all of you parents who are accepting that white children should come to the school and be able to have education regardless of their long hair. But an African child, a rightful owner of the land, an African child cannot go to the supposedly best school in Ghana because he has dreadlocks. That is shameful. That is shameful.
Yes, it's
Thank you.
unfortunate.
Please proceed.
It's unfortunate that when we say the best schools, in quotations, the best school may not necessarily have the best policies.
Please, in 1924, I'm not cutting you. In
and the thoughtful
1924, when the school was
administrators.
opened, the name of the school was Prince of Wales College. Prince of
Yes.
Wales College.
Yes.
It was only changed after the supposedly independence. The independence that was by word of mouth, and then on paper, never been independent. It was
parents?
after that. No, I'm talking in general about our independence, because how can you be independent and then people mine your gold, and then a whole country gets 2% of every gold mine out of our country, and then that is supposed to be independence, where we can't even process our cocoa and our natural resources are being carried out of the country every day. That's supposed to be independence. So this school was renamed after that supposed independence was granted by the British monarchy. In after that independence was given, the school was changed to Achimota School. But from 1924 to 1927, when they started the school, it was started by the Prince of Wales for the children of the colonizer. So they having the opportunity to join this school is something that gives them prestige over some of the students in Ghana, some of the people in Ghana. So I'm not surprised that they're there and they're defending such a policy, but allowing white children to come in.
It was a privilege at the time when they were given that, a special privilege given to them. It wasn't something. They were allowed to enter someone else's domain or home, as it was back then when it was governed by the colonizers then. So they feel it was a special privilege, so they did not have a right to complain or to be objective about any of the rules or the policies. They just they fashion themselves to meet the standard or the requirements. It's unfortunate indeed, but
In this
Whether by
situation,
free will or
when
force, change will take place.
change will take place either by free will
Yeah.
or by force. Now, Kofi says, is the school trying to say that when they were processing his admission, they didn't realize he had dreadlocks from his photos on his phone? Why do you wait till he gets to school? Seriously. Yeah. So that is the blow that we dealt. That is the blow that we dealt in this country, and this practice is against the constitution of the Republic of Ghana. But some people have the audacity to form their rules and place their rules above that of the Republic of Ghana. And I actually entreat the powers that be in this country to allow our children some kind of decency. This law must be abolished. This policy in our secondary school must be abolished. There are several private schools in Ghana, and these kids are keeping their head. There are like so many schools in Ghana because they're private or they're privileged. Welcome, welcome, Felicia. Welcome. Please call in at any time. Check for the link in the comment section and call in and contribute. So because there's so many schools and institutions with kids doing their hair in any ways that they want. But if you go to government school, then when you're black, you're not allowed to keep your hair either locked or unlocked, braided, whatever. And so I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how there's just a divide, okay, a sharp divide in the country.
It is
People divided.
may I add, sister,
Yeah.
may I add. Now,
Yes.
we know that in the military and those institutions that are governed by certain regimental law, like by a certain rules of conduct, where it is not a democratic process in the decisions that are made. It is a hand me down from the authority, from one commander in chief down to the lowest person. If that's the case in the military, when you have a certain code of conduct and a dress code, and everyone must fit that way. So the question should be asked, are they running the school like they're running the military?
Thank you.
Because this would be something that was carried over from the old colonial days, when they do not tolerate any type of a dissent or even a democratic process. You follow the commander in chief or the general says something, and therefore then you hear and obey. So even the administrator themselves, they themselves need to be liberated from the colonial mindset that they do have, because they are not exercising that free will that administrators now in a free country of Ghana should be exercising. They should be looking at their student, their constituency, the citizen of Ghana, and to determine what is the best practice and policy that would be suitable for them. That would be, and they would be demonstrating thoughtful as well as studious administrators. At the moment, they're doing a cookie cutter policy. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the administrators need to be, they need to be informed, and they need to step up as well to the plate and act as if, yes.
Yeah, because I know of some schools that allow kids to braid their hair, and that is also generating a lot of business for these hairstylists who have their stations on campus. And these schools have a time frame for every kid to get their hair done before the weekend is over. Within the weekend, there's a time frame for every kid to get their hair done, and kind of it provides employment for these hairstylist stations in the schools. So when there's a will There's a way. If a kid wants to go to school and have her hair done, it improves their confidence.
Yes.
It,
Yes.
by keeping,
In addition,
please come on.
if I may say, in addition, not only the confidence, but the self-esteem, because we know that part of the strategy of the whole colonial master, because we were so different in terms of our appearance and our looks and some of the other characteristics about us, that everything that was African was demeaning and it was inferior. So a child coming up having that difference in it, then if you continue to make those qualities demeaning, then you are therefore also suppressing that child's self-esteem. He or she always have to be putting up somebody else's or other people's standard to measure up to. That's what they're ultimately doing or continue to do, because that's how the colonial master strategized and put in place things to cause our children and our people to fail.
Yeah.
They continue to do it. Yes.
Yeah. It's such a disgrace, because
Yes.
we haven't learned anything. We haven't grown at all. And evidence is Isaac Chum right now on our screen. And his comment, I'm going to read it for you to understand how some of these people think. Get this right, they've gained admission, and that is not a denial. They are simply refusing to abide by school rules and regulations. Could you have flouted the school rules when you were at GP? Okay, I don't know what, when you were a GP, as in when I was a girls prefect. Okay, so this must be somebody who knows me, because I was a girls prefect in my senior high school. So Isaac Chum, I need to inform you, my parents should have cared enough about my rights and my freedom to protest, and they did not. Now I have grown up, I've become an adult, my brain is active, and I have awakened to myself, and I do not approve anything that degrades me or my child. So of course, as a student, I didn't have the power to stand up to them, or even the knowledge or the understanding that this is a foreign policy that has been adopted to degrade me, to reduce my confidence in everything. And so I couldn't stand up to them, but I'm an adult now and I have a voice and I can speak. Yes. Secondly, Isaac Chum, for your information, they are allowing white students to keep their long hairs in these schools. They're allowing white students, maybe, I don't know if you understand it, they're allowing Obroni students to keep their hair. They're allowing Muzungu students to keep their hair in this school long, but then they're denying a black child from going to school with locks.
Well, you should say long hair as well.
Yeah, long hair.
Yes.
And that will go. The student.
If I may interject here, we have to recognize certain things, and if your audience and those who may not understand the comment, if they are indifferent, it is because they do not understand the core of this thing. The quality and the characteristics of Black people have been rejected. It is not just beginning. It was institutionalized. And it is for those reasons why a Black child, an African child, whose hair has African characteristics, is not treated and accepted the same way how a Caucasian, or not only just Caucasian, the hair texture and length of Chinese, Indian, Caucasian, European are the same. Their hair grows straight the same. The only difference between the Africans and those people, the characteristics of our hair is different. And if the rules only apply to African hair, African hair characteristic, then you see that now that's not only a breach of self-hate and self-denial. It is telling you that your characteristic that God, your creator, gave you is not acceptable. That's the point of it. So whether the parents feel like they could support the school or not, they themselves have been brainwashed or been misguided to the point that they even accept those people who reject them. If black parents, African parents, side with the school with this policy, they are telling the school, we accept for you to reject us and our special characteristics. That's what they're saying. Because it only applies to this child or to these children who may have black hair that grows long. It doesn't apply to Caucasian whose hair grows long. It was similar to what the U.S. military and the security forces had. That African Americans, their hair, and when they do their braid on their hair, it doesn't fit well with their uniform and the hats that they wear. So they had outlined the policy said they cannot wear hair like that. They had to cut it. But they had a pushback recently. Our people had courage enough to stand in this day and time. The courage has evolved. So we stand in this day and time because we recognize not only unfair, but things that was based upon racial characteristics. So we push back. And therefore, then anything that is based upon racial characteristics and mannerism that is rejected, then you push back. Even if it's your own people, even if it is your own misguided people. You push back. So that's the crux of it. That's the crux of it.
And thank you so much, Novia Ridley. She says, I wish I was in Ghana now. I would protest in front of the school. And all of this is a form of protest. We must stand up for what is right and stand up for the truth. Kofi Labi says, yeah, the parents are just perpetuating the cycle and accepting the mold. Brother Talib says it's like we have repossessed a car and the owner was 6 foot tall and you are 5'3", yet you won't make adjustment. Exactly. We repossessed a car that doesn't fit us, but we are not willing to make the adjustment because we are grateful for the car. Doesn't make sense. And he continues to say, oh, please let's mention that our current president, President Anado, is also a former student of the same school. He hasn't said anything, and he's a human rights lawyer too. Shrugs. Of course, we wait and see. Because we wait and see. I honestly don't like going into politics because I understand all of that setup. The whole political setup is not for you and me. It's set up to serve the interest and the purpose of those who, colonize us. So I don't like talking about politics because I'm not interested in it. It doesn't interest me in any way. I don't see anything that is pleasurable about it. So I don't waste my energy, my time talking about it. I'd rather talk about what, is in the best interest of our people because we've suffered enough. And we have to find a way, at the point where our collective consciousness can rise and get to the point where it can start fueling itself into rising to the level of freedom. So that is the work we're doing. It has begun. And as Mr. Talib said, this is just the dawn of it. Sir, you had something to say?
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes we go to the store and we have many of the things at the store are already made. We here are accustomed to that. In America, you go to the store, ready-made shirts, ready-made pants, underwears, and even shoes are ready-made. And sometimes they have to do some adjustments. Yes. And when we live in a society where schools, institution that has rigid policies and rules, they should be elasticists. Elasticists, meaning they should be able to, you call it now, have expansion joints. So they can adjust to accommodate the time. And this day and time that we live in, every institution And it goes for also government. When you say policies and politics, politics as it was designed, it was also designed to keep us at bay.
Of
It was
course.
not designed to suit our interest.
No,
So
no.
if the political institution does not address these common things that is supposed to satisfy the needs and to prepare the citizen, the young citizens, the young minds, so that they can be productive citizens for their nation, if
Mhm.
it tries to alienate them and it doesn't accommodate them and try to work with them so that they can fit in and make the best that they can be, then obviously the leadership head and mind is not in the right place.
It's not.
They need to retool. They imagine they were educated at these institutions too. Remember that.
Yeah.
The current president, as you just pointed out a few seconds ago, he's an alma mater of this school,
Yeah.
right? And he may feel uncomfortable to say anything negative in the public's eye as as now the president of the country. But what he should do is to advise them. He have others that he can send through the grapevine to advise them. Look, this is not right. In the day when I was going to school, I adjusted to whatever was required of us. That was in the day. But now we're in a new day. We're in a Ghana day. We're in the African day. We're not in the
Yeah.
colonizer's day.
No.
Right. The sun that is rising now is rising for the African day.
Yeah.
So we should look through our lens with the light of African light and lens. What is their needs? How can we make it more amenable for us and our students to be successful?
Yep.
Not to put up roadblocks and impediment for them not to learn. We want them to be the best that they can be. Whatever talents and ability they have, we want to cultivate that
Yeah.
to make it right. It's our future. When we're talking about we want the best for our country, that's what we want the best for them, not for our
Yeah.
laws and rules and policy that does
Yeah.
not bring out the best in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to adjust it.
People were not made for the law. The law was made for the people, and the people can change the law.
Yes. Those are policies, yeah. And if you say the law of the country is not consistent or the rules and policy is not consistent with the law, then the school might be breaking the law.
Yeah, the school
They
is
might
breaking
be
the law.
infringe of the law.
Yeah.
Those things need to be looked at and bring it to their attention.
Yeah.
There are sometimes you have some of our people can be so rigid that they don't even want to examine in which way they can expand or they can adjust to make accommodation, reasonable accommodation. And when you have people like that, this, I guess, they need to be retooled. They need to be retooled for sure, because that would be something reflecting in how they address things.
Yes.
They should dreadlocks in these days. Dreadlocks should not be an issue that will prevent a student from getting their opportunity. It is their right
to study.
student
it is their constitutional right.
Look, when they miss that opportunity, there's a window of opportunity. We have phases.
Yes.
We have come now that we understand the science of the human development and what time and what stage of your development is more amenable to your growth in your mental growth. And if they missed an opportunity a year or two during the school years of their learning, then they're missing something that is great, valuable, that affects their future.
Of course.
So we don't want them to miss a silly thing or something that appears to be so insignificant as a hair.
A hair.
And that is not uniformly applied to every student. For the administration to deny student that
white
is ludicrous.
Can come privileged
and foolhardy indeed. Yes.
Yeah. Can go to the school. White students can go to the school in their full regalia with their long silky hair. And black children shouldn't even dare show their hair
in the
institution.
They're denied.
They're denied education. Can you even hear this? A denied admission to a school they so deservedly are entitled to because they scored the best grades. What in what way? In what way? In what way? Don't I would like to ask Isaac, in what way don't you understand that these children deserve to have the admission and the right to go to school? The school has allowed white students for centuries, or well, I don't know about centuries, but for years, since the school has been open, have allowed white students to come and throw their long hairs about. Why is it so stuck against the children in the school, the African children? Why is it so stuck against them? If the school broke their own law for white people, why can't they break the law once again for a religious Rastafarian to take his hair to school? Why must children of Africa face discrimination on their own land? Why must children of Africa face discrimination in their own soil? How does that make sense? If the rules are set, it must apply to everybody across board. Now, the excuses that the school were giving was that if they asked the white students to cut down their hair, they wouldn't look that good.
It goes to show that the appearance, that the Caucasian appearance is most admired by the administrators.
Yeah, they admire their white savior appearance.
Yes. Yes, the Christ-like image is most admired by them.
Yeah, it's
the Caucasian image.
It is pathetic, and this is the reason. And for me personally, I've learned something about the struggles of our African American brothers in the diaspora. Now, here is the thing: these Caucasians or these Westerners, we were minding our own business. They brought us into their world. When it was serving them, they did everything to keep us. Enslaved people will run away and they will chase them to bring them back to the plantations because it was serving them. And then when it wasn't really serving them again, when our people rebelled and our people resisted for centuries and it was becoming a disaster, they let these people go. And when it wasn't serving them anymore, they packed our people, threw them in Liberia, packed them. They want to get rid of things, like, okay, now you're not useful to me again. Okay, go. I don't want you are not good enough. You're this, you're that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they set their policies and then they leave it for shameful clones who call themselves leaders, and then they in turn be the ones to oppress our people. And if you don't understand the dynamics of what this is, then you're so deep down the throat of white supremacy, you don't even know. You don't know yourself, you don't know your people, you don't know your history, and you're not interested to know because you want to be praised by master. You want
not
the
having
Western
an understanding. Yes.
Yeah.
By not
you want
having
the West to accept you.
Not having an understanding.
It is
by lacking
when
the
they
understanding.
Didn't have... Yeah, please go ahead.
By lacking the understanding of the chronological order in history, you are inclined to blame the victim. Yes, you will take side with the victimizer. We've seen similarity in that thinking, in the way we used to blame the female in most domestic and other issues because they were the weaker ones. So we say, blame them. You did not obey or you did not comply with the rules that the male set or that was set for the home, the standard. And so it is because the victor or the abuser sets the rules so that the victim will have to comply with the rules. So when the oppressed people run away from the conditions that keep them in oppression, then there is a rule, and that rule, they should be caught, brought back, and punished. That leads us to what we see now and the dynamics that is taking place right here, currently, and all over the world. And that is the security forces that was developed there in those stages and in those phases of slave plantation condition, that they have developed and they have organized people as slave catchers. So those people now evolve into what we have now as the security forces. And those rules that apply back then, it still applies now. So as a result of that, so anything the slave did, he has no right, no human right. He was considered a property and 3/5 of a human being. So if he run away for his freedom, for his life, that is not his right, because he doesn't have a right even in his own or his own life. His life belonged to the owner. So we have to understand the context of how things have evolved and developed into what it is. So it is with the school that you have in Ghana that is in the center of this issue. In what context was those rules that apply now? You see, and it is the same way when the Ghanaians, the African black Ghanaians, looked at it, and because they're adult, they say, yeah, well, it is the school, and we cannot get the diaspora come here to want to get privileges in our school. They should comply with the rule. They forgot that the same colonizers who took us and brought us here were some of the same colonizers who were there making those rules and setting up those schools. It was the same mind and the same school of thought that did the same thing in the continent and here. So while we fight it here and we may have some rights and we overcome some here, we see in our wisdom and understanding and experience, we can help fight it right there to have it addressed. But now that we also have Ghanaians and we say you're independent, it is time for you to use your independent mind. No one else can free us but ourselves. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It is. We hear even leaders and scholars use those lines, but do they apply when they're making rules? When they are in charge, do they apply that?
Yeah.
And encourage their people to do it? Institutions as well? They should be in the forefront leading and saying these things. They shouldn't wait for students and people to be pushing for that. There should be no issue. There should be no waste of energy or causing no animosity between parents and institution to have these things change. Leadership should be doing that, not parents. The institutional leaders, they should be willingly doing a complete overhaul of a system or a house that they have inherited from the colonizer. When you buy a house and a new house from someone who already did own the house, did you go in and just live the way the previous owner lived? You change things up. You clean. You make adjustments. That's how you do it.
You clean out the dirt. You clean out the dirt.
To fit your whatever you desire, because it is now your home.
Yeah.
It is simple. And that's why we said, no, we have to examine the administrators as well. What is their frame of mind and what are they thinking? For whom are they now administering the school for? For the best interest of the student or the best interest of those people who have set up the school originally for the intent to suppress the African spirit and for them to get a proper education that will give them independent thinking.
They're so afraid of a free black man. They're so afraid of an intelligent black man. The systems have just find ways to grind us to the ground and keep it there. And, you can do that for so long. And I'm glad that some of our Ghanaian people have been on, because I've read from Isaac, and I'm thinking that, you know, we have to change the minds and hearts of our people, you know, with this kind of education. And it should be constant, because, you know, talking about, we just so emancipate yourself from mental slavery. People don't know what the tenets of mental slavery is, because they're living it and they're accustomed to it. It's normal for them. So if you're telling people to emancipate themselves from mental slavery, what exactly do you mean? So these people who live in this situation, which is their utopia, which they've been born into, bred into, and themselves are upholding this kind of laws. So I think that is important, that when we come out like this and we talk about why there's a problem with some of these laws, it helps to broaden, you know, open people's minds and thoughts to think about some of these issues critically, to analyze them critically, and be able to, you know, come out with a much better judgment than what they're accustomed to, than what is within their comfort zone. And as Ridley said, it's not comfortable talking about these things. It's not comfortable. But if we decide to stay in our comfort zone, it means that we are never ever going to get to the point where we can address the issues that are important to us and to our generations unborn. So before we go, Brother Talib, I just want you to give a word of advice and, you know, just talk to our people, talk to us, you know.
Yes, sister. I hope that for those of us who intend and those who already have repatriated and now is trying to acclimate themselves into the systems and the various institutions that are there on the continent in Ghana. We hope that we could be perceived as well as go with the mindset as problem solvers, and hope that we can go with that in mind. Then we would be contributing as to what you call value added. Now, for institution that runs on old policies and procedures and rules, there is a need for the country as well as the continent to evolve. Not only to evolve for its own interest, but to evolve for its future and its children. And to do so successfully, one have to be able to think in the future, but at the same time, you're acting now to affect the future. Your children is your future. If you have draconian laws that are governing them, those laws that were put in place for the direct and for no other reason but to keep our people thinking inferior about the quality and our characteristics of our God-given self. If you have those rules still in place, you're not contributing to the future of your children and the future of your country. In other words, one can even be construed as you're unpatriotic. Yes, if other people whose characteristics are different from yours, if they find more comfort in your school, in the rules and how it applies, and then Ghanaians, Africans feel it discomfort, are uncomfortable coming to your school, then certainly that should not be the case. Parents should not tolerate that. They should do all that they can to make and cause effective change for the betterment and the improvement of their country.
And that is wisdom right there, guys. Brother Talib, he does not disappoint. And I love this man because of his passion. We do this without pay. Okay, he's not earning any money. for coming up here and talking to us, and so that is the respect that I put on him, because there are so many people who have wisdom and can speak to us, but it's not comfortable for them to come out and talk. They're afraid. Oh, well, I can lose my job. Oh, well, this can happen and that can happen and this can happen. And that is what has kept all of us in the positions that we're in. So when a son of Africa rises and, decide to stand by the people and speak on such matters, I have so much respect for that person. And Brother Talib, I'd like to encourage you, because you don't just admonish us on this page. There's so many other pages that you do admonish us, and I'm really grateful for that. I would also like to thank the organizers. Iman, thank you so much for always being by the channel and helping us come up with these kind of programs that benefit our people. I'd like to thank our contributors. Give me a second. So I would like to thank Miss Blue Love. I'd like to thank African Millennial, Kin Kenyatta, Gregory, Niara Louise, Sun Goddess, Kamad DYN, Kofi Labi. Kofi was excellent today. Felicia Boama, thank you so much. Isaac Chum, thank you for your contributions, and I really hope you've learned something and taken something from our conversation. Novia Ridley, I'm grateful for your participation, and please kindly subscribe if this is your first time. Hit the like button and share this video, because it might definitely benefit someone. It's a collective struggle. Thank you so much. I'd like to also thank Mary Jane. Thank you so much, Mary Jane, for your support. And the last comment from Miss Ridley says they've gotten away with it for far too long. And thank you again. Please consider supporting us on Patreon, as this channel is not monetized. Thank you so much, and thank you, Brother Talib, again for coming. And I will keep following this story. And if we have to do this again, then definitely I'm going to bring up, the topic, and I'm going to follow it and see if these children finally get enrolled in school. If we beat the colonial, policies in the school, definitely give that information back to you. So, Brother Talib, Miss Reedy is asking if you have a YouTube channel.
No, not yet, sis. No, ma'am.
Of course, anytime you decide to begin, we're definitely going to be there to support you, Brother Talib. Thank you so much, Mary Jane. It was good to see you again. Thank you. Welcome. So this is where we end today's transmission, and I hope that you can share this and watch this with your families. We don't always get a star session every day, but I think this has been amazing to leave on, and I thank him so much. Thank you, everybody, and see you again. This is the Woke Africa Show. Thank you.